Some games were painful. We got banged up. But you know what? It's next man up.
Firing, and Joku caught it! Touchdown!
Let's keep going 1-0 every week, bro. When we play our brand of football, nobody can play with it.
That's what this is all about. You give it your all or you don't.
The Browns are going to the playoffs!
You've got to go 1-0, and that's how you win.
I mean, I'm going to run through a wall. I'm attached to my desk here, but if I wasn't, I would run through a wall right now for my next guest, who's a Cleveland Browns legend and NFL Hall of Famer. We are in the midst of royalty, and he's currently living his best life as a Wisconsin farmer, new resident of Munich, Germany. Should I say Guten Morgen, Joe Thomas?
You can say that, but I haven't been here long enough to understand what you're saying just yet. But I appreciate the effort. Yes.
Yeah, I'm probably saying it really wrong, and I apologize for that. We have to get into this. This is like a Ted Lasso fever dream. You're living in the Midwest, and then you decide to move your family to Munich to help coach the Munich Ravens football team. Why?
Yeah, I really just fell in love with drinking their beer. When I was here 2 years ago, covering the NFL Germany game for NFL Network, when the Seattle Seahawks played Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the passion of these fans in Germany, and with the European League of Football being pretty new in the last few years, there was an opportunity for me to sneak in here as an offensive line coach, bring the family over and give them a crazy adventure. And I figured, just when I was getting comfortable in retirement, Hall of Fame, the kids enjoyed friends in school and everything, it was time to rip them out of their life and give them some adversity so that they have some therapy that I need to pay for later on in life.
How's it going?
So we've been here just over a week. They started school. It's 17 degrees, so it's no different than Wisconsin right now. Okay. So at least the weather is the same, but it's been great. We've had a few practices and meetings thus far, and it's cool because these guys make like 500 euros a week, and they're all working jobs during the day, like the old school NFL, and they're coming at night to these workouts, which are pretty intense, and they're showing passion and drive for football that is just so cool to be around. It reminds me of when I was coaching my son's 7-year-old flag football team this fall, where these kids just have this unadulterated joy for the game of football. And it's really infectious for a guy that, when you're a pro for a long time, you get a little bit jaded and you get a little grumpy, but it takes all that away. Seeing how much these guys love the game, and it gives you that joy all over again, like it's the first time.
I remember, I wasn't in Germany, but I remember seeing your experience of Germany on NFL Network and on social media. And I remember being like, he's just like really either biting into the bit or like you were truly living your best life. It's interesting. But I mean, like talking about the beer, like I can't imagine Mark Quinzel's putting his card down for like the nice stuff. He's buying the cheap stuff over there in Munich.
The good news about Munich, Germany is they take their beer almost as seriously as they do their American football, and there's no cheap beers over here. There's no such thing as a light beer. If you ask for a light beer, they'll give you a Hefeweizen, and that's all you can get.
I would love a Hefeweizen.
Oh, man, let me tell you, that's breakfast beer over here.
Joe, you move your family for beer.
Hey, it makes sense. I'm from Wisconsin. It's the beer state. I know they put Dairyland on their license plate, but really it's about the beer.
Yeah, the math is mathing for Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. We love it, and I'm happy for you. You're wearing the Ravens gear, which I see, the Munich Ravens gear, which is amazing. We're wishing you luck. Do they know what they have in front of them? Like, does it translate? Do they understand what you are?
Well, I feel a lot of pressure because, like, I walked into the first meeting that we had, and these guys were calling me Coach Thomas, and they were acting way too respectful. And I had to tell them at the end of the meeting, I was like, guys, just treat me like a buddy. Like, I'm going to give you everything I got. I feel pressure to give you the ability to reach your full potential because you guys are just as talented as guys that I played with in the NFL. You just haven't had the experience in the coaching. But I feel a lot of pressure to bring that out of you and give you everything that you'd hoped it's been. Yes. So let's bring it down a little bit. No more coach talk. Like, let me be your buddy. Let's go drink beer, work hard, and then go win the games on Sunday, and I'm going to be a happy man.
I would love it if you were my coach. That sounds great. That's amazing. We need to get you with Henry Hodgson of NFL International. We need to bring in a nice exhibition or something. We need to bring the Ravens over to Cleveland Cleveland to play a game, because then I think they'll understand truly what it is in front of them. Because you, my friend, outside of LeBron James, I'm not sure there's an athlete more revered by Clevelanders over the last quarter century than you. I want to ask you, from the time that the Browns returned in 1999 until right now, is this the best Browns squad that you've seen?
Undoubtedly. This is the team that's brought the most momentum into the playoffs. The last two times the Browns have made the playoffs since '99, they kind of squeaked in. This team, they got to rest all their starters in week 18 to get healthy because they'd already locked up their 5th spot and their top wild card spot. And with the #1 defense overall, and with Joe Flacco at the helm right now on offense, they got things humming. And I think when you look at the playoffs, it's always matchup based, right? Like, how do you fit against the other team? But when you bring a defense to the playoffs, especially on the road, that wins against any matchup. And when you have a guy on offense like Joe Flacco, with his connection with Amari Cooper and David Njoku, they have an explosive play threat that I don't think they've really ever had since '99, since they came back, certainly, that makes you feel like it doesn't matter what the score is during the game. All it takes is 1 or 2 plays and you're back in it. And I think that type of belief can galvanize a team and give them belief and hope that gives them extra fight and will in the playoffs, that you're always going to have up and downs in those games. And I think that will be the difference for the Browns, their belief in their ability to overcome any adversity that they see during a game.
You have had a ton of battles against Joe Flacco in your storied Hall of Fame career. You were 2-15 as a team against him, and those Ravens, those pesky Ravens, in 17 games. Joe, how weird is it that you're cheering for him?
It is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. You know, in Cleveland, we've been joking about that since he took over, and he just keeps getting better every single week. And the Ravens, obviously, they used to be the Browns, so there's a lot of hatred there. But it feels like there was always a lot of respect for Joe Flacco. You know, he wasn't like the hated Raven when we were playing against him. Ben Roethlisberger was like the hated quarterback that was the rival. So at least it's not Ben Roethlisberger. I feel like that's kind of a rallying cry right now. You know, you could buy into January Joe Flacco because at least we don't have to cheer for Steelers.
What is working so well for Flacco? Because he's 38 years old. Let's not, like, he's sitting at home for 3/4 of the season waiting for the phone to ring. When you're watching him play this year, what is the single thing you're pointing to why it's working so well?
Well, it's his deep ball, because he's still got the arm that he's always had. And you just saw it in that clip right there. His ability to change the game by throwing it down the field is what they had not had the entire season. Deshaun Watson's best game against the Ravens, he hit some deep balls, and that changes the game, because their defense had been shutting people out nearly the entire year, but they were so close that Myles Garrett really wasn't able to become unleashed in a lot of those games. But when you get in obvious passing situations, that's when obviously Myles goes to town, because then he gets more single blocks. He gets more opportunity to get to the quarterback because they're not just throwing it quick to try to get the ball out of their hands. And I think that's when he really maximizes his value to that defense. And also, like I mentioned, what they're bringing into the playoffs, like when you can hit a deep ball and you can score a touchdown in one play, like Flacco has the ability to do, like it gives everybody on that offense hope that they just got to keep chopping wood, because Flacco's going to throw deep. He's going to throw it over somebody's head, and they're going to make a miraculous play because they've got great weapons at the receiver position and tight end.
But if they win a Super Bowl, I'm worried about your status as the Browns' top Joe.
Well, that's a great point. All right, I'm cheering against the Browns all the playoffs now. No, then I can keep wearing my shirt proudly and say this is a Joe Flacco
you're wearing a Ravens shirt. This is bizarro world.
Joe Flacco Ravens, because he's our guy. He's January Joe Flacco. And I hope that we get to worry about who's the Browns' favorite Joe at the end of the Super Bowl, because nothing would make me happier than the story of Joe Flacco saving our season and winning us the Super Bowl, our first Super Bowl of all time.
Unbelievable. You mentioned Myles Garrett. Let's talk about it. I believe your last year was his first year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Give me a Myles Garrett rookie year story. What was he made of?
So he was. I was going to say some choice words, because that's usually what I was saying when I was going against him. You know, so I'm not sure what the ratings are on this show.
You can say them.
But he would eat lightning and he would shit thunder, because the guy was made of a bowling ball of butcher blocks. He was unbelievable. My very first rep against him in live team, we were actually running a screen where on a screen as a tackle, you're supposed to allow your guy to get upfield, but you don't want him to get close to the quarterback. You want to think that he's beating you, but then push him wide. And usually you have no problem with that. Well, here's this rookie Myles Garrett. And, you know, if you're a vet, you're going against a rookie, you're kind of laughing as it is. But Myles, as soon as the ball was snapped, of course, he beats me off the snap. He takes like 2 steps. He's by me, and he's in the quarterback's lap before, I think, I don't even know, Kaiser was our quarterback, or maybe McCown. I don't know. I had 20 of them. And he couldn't even get the screen off, which is like the cardinal sin. Like, if you're on the practice squad, you can block a screen at tackle. I couldn't even block Myles Garrett and on that play. And I was very thankful that I was injured for most of the season as far as missing practice. So I didn't have to block him very many times. And I was very thankful because he would have eaten my lunch every single day. He was that good even as a rookie. Even as a rookie.
And now, you know, I was just talking about how I had him on my show in early November. You guys were 5-3, and he was like, I want to be here for life. I want to win a Super Bowl. And I feel bad because I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here, buddy. What would it mean to you as just somebody who's watched him, championed him, you being such a legend of your own, that playoff, you know, success, that experience sort of eluded you for a million reasons that had nothing to do with you. What do you want for Myles Garrett? Like, how cool is this story for him?
Yeah, just like you, like I've become really close with Myles, and I'm one of his biggest cheerleaders because you can't help but cheer for this guy. The compassion he has off the field, the passion he plays with on the field, the dominance that he's played with, and he hasn't always gotten the due that he's deserved, in my opinion, for how great he is. Like, you talk to other offensive linemen, like, hey, who's the best pass rusher? Who's the best defensive end? The guy gives you the most problems. It's always going to be Myles Garrett. You know, TJ Watt, he's like 1B because I got my guy TJ. He's pretty good too.
Yeah,
but good. Myles he's a beast. And I think playing my rookie season, or his rookie season, my last year, and going 0-16 for a young guy, that could totally derail you and derail your career. But he was able to keep on that path and to commit himself to excellence every single day. And so just seeing that growth and feeling like I was a tiny part of it in his rookie year, just trying to help teach him how to break down offensive tackles and see the growth that he made, see the progress in his game with like those little things, and how he takes what you do best and he uses it against you as an offensive tackle. I couldn't be happier for somebody that has become a legend in Cleveland and would be able to take his status, his lifetime status as one of the all-time greats in Cleveland sports to the ultimate level when he wins his Super Bowl.
Ooh! I hope it happens. Listen, he's got to get past D'Amico and CJ first. So let's talk about that matchup. When you look at this Stefanski-D'Amico chess match here, what stands out to you?
Well, they just played him a few weeks ago, and I think that favors the Browns offense a little bit because they got vets. It starts with their quarterback, Joe Flacco, and anytime you're playing a team so close back-to-back like they are, you're going to have a lot of carryover in the game plan, but you're also going to kind of go to your curveball a little bit more than you would if this was the first time you were playing somebody, right? Because you've already game planned for him. You had no idea you're going to play him again, so it's not like you held anything back. And you were able to evaluate their team and give them your best stuff for your game plan. So this version of their game plan, you're going to have a lot more wrinkles in it. And I think a team that's more experienced is going to be able to more easily go to that curveball, that plan B game plan, because they have a bigger repertoire. Their tool belt's a little bit bigger. And so for the Browns, they can go to that next step much more easily with a guy like Joe Flacco, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, guys like that on their offense than a CJ Stroud who's in his rookie season, where they're going to try to be teaching some new concepts this week that he's never seen. And if he gets a wrinkle that they didn't practice, he's not going to know exactly what to do, what checks to make. So I think that's one of the advantages the Browns have now. Yes. CJ Stroud did not play in the last game versus the Browns. So there's a lot to learn for the Browns defense because they are going to get a different quarterback. But I still like my Browns offense. I still like the heat that Joe Flacco is bringing in.
The heat that the 38-year-old Browns quarterback is going to be throwing out there against this Texans defense. Joe, we appreciate you. Congrats on all of your success. And everybody can also go to, you can get Hall of Fame beef packages at sixspringsfarms.com. We got to get that out there. Get your beer, get your beef, and go and enjoy and root for the Munich Ravens this season. Thanks, Joe.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Kay.